So it's been verified the Marines are canceling the Scout Sniper School. That's the 017 designation in 2024. It appears there seems to be 3 reasons that they're doing this, and while I acknowledge there's valid points to these reasons, I don't really think that it's the right move to make, which we'll discuss. But before we do that, the first thing I want to bring to your attention is, if you'd like to help support the channel, the best way to do it is purchase a Freedom Beanie with a Freedom Star on it. You can get it from shoponlytacticalfans.com. And every dollar I make off of this, I'm going to crumple up in my hand without spit, without lube. I'm going to drive it directly into my bank account. And if you make a purchase for over $30, you get the mystery patch. I can't show you what this looks like, and I can't sell this to you, but I'll give it to you for free with every order over 30 bucks. It was a mess up. It looks like something it's not supposed to. Anywho, back to the video. So the first reason is cost benefit. Is it cost effective to send people to this sniper school, put all this training in them, when we could just simply give an average soldier a sniper rifle? The next one. Rifles are so advanced now that the actual marksmanship skills you learn in a sniper school, they really don't mean anything. You could take a novice shooter, give him a Kestrel, a capable rifle, and he can make 1,000-yard hits. I mean, this is all over YouTube. They do it constantly. They'll take somebody that has basically nothing at all for skills with long-range shooting. They have some basic firearm skills. They'll be like, hey, the Kestrel says do this. They'll put that on the scope, pull the trigger. You either get a first-round hit or it's close by. They do a correction using the grid on the scope. Boom. Second round hit, it's almost always a hit before the 5th round. So yeah, there is some merit behind that. But again, that's another issue we'll talk about in a little bit. And yes, the sniper school, the actual marksmanship training, is just a small part. A scout sniper is like a bar stool, and each part is a leg on the bar stool. Yes, marksmanship matters, but there are other things that are way more important than just being able to shoot a rifle. Next one. The sniper is nothing more than a status symbol. Now, I can kind of get this myself. Like when I called the Prophet a sniper rifle, I had a wave of people in the comment section telling me that it's not a sniper's rifle unless a sniper is holding it. And I was like, no, you guys misheard me. I didn't say a sniper's rifle. I said a sniper rifle. So, like, I can get that. Alright, so let's go on and talk about some of these things. First thing, let's talk about the rifle, the new rifle's capabilities, and that you really don't need to be skilled to be able to make really far hits. You got to understand, only 44% of people that go into sniper school pass. The 56% of people that fail do not fail on marksmanship. Everybody that goes into that school can shoot. They don't even let you go into the school unless you can shoot. They fail because of fieldcraft, which is one of those bar stools I was talking about that is a huge part, and with that bar stool missing, the whole sniper's bar stool just tips on over. The ability to use the train, blend in, and be invisible. So there are different types of observation. You got ground, signals, and air. So what your ground observation is, that is your recon unit, and that would be like your scout sniper. Now understand, they don't plan on getting rid of recon units. They just plan on getting rid of the scout sniper in the Marines specifically. Like, they still plan on having snipers in different branches and that, but it seems to be more of like a special forces type of thing. Again, we'll have to see how this pans out because all the information that's out there right now is incredibly vague. So, you got your recon units, and then like your scout sniper, that would be your ground observation. Then you got your signal, that would be like your drones. Then you got your air, which would be like your U-2 spy plane. Now, in theory, it makes sense. Like, I get their argument here. So if we eliminate the sniper, because right now, like, the sniper would see someone or something, they would radio to someone, and that someone would radio to someone, and that someone would radio to someone. Because the person that actually makes the decision needs to be far away from the battle. Well, with a U-2 or a drone, that person can watch the screen directly and make calls on the fly, giving faster information, which sounds great in theory, it really does. But there's a couple of problems here. Number one is availability. I've heard stories, haven't been there myself, but I've heard stories where they would request an air asset or something to that effect, and they would get no. We don't have one available. No, we're not going to dish out probably like $100,000 in fuel, munitions, maintenance, just so your little 4-man team or whatever can cross a point from A to B. You're going to have to go in there blind. And that's where the Scout Sniper would come in. Like, oh, hey, tomorrow we have to cross point A, point B. We got denied air assets. Can you guys go to point C and be our guardian angel? Watch over everything. Make sure there's not an ambush set up there. That sort of thing. So availability is an issue. And it's a real issue. Do you really think every single time you're about to move from point A to point B, you're going to be able to call in an air asset? Probably not. The next one, what if we don't have air superiority? Okay, now we can't call in a YouTube spy plane because there's 5th generation fighters flying around that can take those down. The next big one, this is more specifically for drones, what if you have a near-peer threat? Now, I'm still of the opinion that us American civilians are the only near-peer threat, but what if I'm wrong? Like, seriously, what if I'm wrong? But okay, let's put it in American civilian situation here. You have a near-peer threat. They have night vision. They spot your drone. They radio to their guy like, hey, boss, there's a drone up there. What do you want me to do? 10-4, what I want you to do is take your lighter fluid, make a fire in the shape of a dick, and then get out of there, and then let me know which direction the drone flies away from when it runs out of batteries or fuel or whatever the hell it runs out of, so we can track it down where it comes from and attack that area. Like, if you have a near-peer threat, yeah, the drones and U-2 spy planes work great against the Taliban, but what if it's not the Taliban? What if the Chinese really are at our level? What if the Russians really are at our level? Not to mention they can do signal tracking. There's so many problems why this is not a realistic option if you don't have air superiority or if you're fighting a near-peer threat. So next one. So one of the biggest problems that you'd be facing with getting rid of the Scout Sniper is you're talking about a 2-man team. You send them to point A and you're like, hey, I need you to watch this area and report back. Great. Yes, a 6-man recon group can definitely do that. However, what they're lacking is stealth. No matter how you slice the pie, even if you were to take 6 of these ex-snipers and put them in a 6-man team, they will have less stealth. There's going to be a bigger footprint, they're going to have bigger litter, there's going to be higher logistics to keeping them supplied. What if they have to stay there for a week? I mean, are you just going to land a helicopter on top of their position and start unloading food and stuff? There's just so much more that goes into stealth when you're talking about going from a 2-man to a 6-man. It's possible a 6-man could be just as good as, but it will never be better. Ever, unless your 2-man is, well, they went to pass the class if they were really that bad. And remember, this recon, they would have had to pass the same class that the Scout Snipers would have, so there goes your cost benefit if they're going to be as effective as a 2-man sniper team. So we can send in these 2 guys with supplies, leaving a small footprint that can watch over this area and report back. Or we can send in an armor Humvee with a bunch of troops that are like, hut, 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 hut. Start digging foxholes. Guy gets out of the armored vehicle with binoculars, starts looking around. Like, there is a huge problem. You are going to have stealth issues. Again, no matter how you slice the pie, there will be stealth issues. And so what is the big problems with the stealth issues? Number one, they can just be eliminated. They'd be like, yeah, an armored vehicle pulled up there, or even, if they don't take an armored vehicle, a bunch of troops ran up the hill like, hut, 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 hut. Like, there's people up there. They're digging a foxhole right now. There's a guy staring at me with binoculars. Let's send some artillery onto that position. Easy to eliminate a target when you know where it is. If you don't know where it is, it's kind of hard to eliminate. The next thing is they could be like, okay, so, yep, there's people over there. What do you want me to do, boss? Well, I want you to stay here and bring out your hottest lieutenant because we need something for them to look at. Kind of prance around, bend over, do a lot of foxhole digging, get all nice and sweaty, maybe rub some oil on her, some suntan lotion, something like that. Give them a real show. Keep them distracted since we know they're there. 1, there's obviously some more troops somewhere we need to locate. 2, we know they're thinking about coming to this position. Let's set up an ambush. Three, we don't want to be in this position because obviously they're coming here. The whole point is you could feed them fake news, misinformation, basically what we did in World War II. We got all those Germans to move to a different location on D-Day, making them think we're going to invade here because we knew they were watching, and then we came in here. What do they call it? The Kansas City Shuffle or something like that? You make them think you're going left, and then you come right. And that's very possible to do when you know, one, someone's watching, and two, where they're at. Alright, so, past the fake news, past elimination, the next thing that a sniper team does very, very well, and it's been done throughout history in countless engagements over and over and over again, is they can delay or disrupt an enemy's movement. If shit gets really, really bad, like, I don't know, maybe when the Germans were squeezing down on France and they just had to get out of that particular area, or how about in Black Hawk Down? You got a helicopter down and there's overwhelming forces coming. Like any of those situations, you can put in a two-man sniper team and they could just take out a single enemy, and as long as they don't know where they're at, they can change positions, and maybe in like a half hour or so they can do it again. They can completely stop a troop movement. If you have a five-man team and they get spotted, which they're, at least twice as likely to get spotted, they can be like, oh, there's just 5 people over there. Let's flank, move, shell, mortar, get those people out of there. We're a two-man team, pretending they're good at fieldcraft, and they would have to be able to pass the particular school. They can indefinitely basically delay an enemy until you have enough time to recuperate, put your forces back together, get them to a safe location. Just putting a couple of two-man teams out randomly can cause complete havoc. They can strike the fear of God in an enemy and convince them, hey, sticking up my head might be a bad idea. No, superior officer, I do not want to go forward because I'm going to die if I do. I don't know where these guys are. I don't know how many of these guys are. All I know is him, and then about a half hour later him, and then about a half hour later him, and then, oh, we just got shot again. Those people got downed. Nobody's got eyes on the threat. Nobody knows where the shot's coming. We don't know what to do. So we're just going to hold position. We're going to bring the tanks up. They're going to be here in like 5 hours. The tanks can come up. Move forward. We'll use the tanks as cover, and then we'll figure out what to do. That is a dark but very realistic scenario where like a scout sniper squad would come in pretty freaking handy. So, is it cost effective to send these people to a school, give them a whole bunch of extra training, versus giving your standard recon unit a sniper rifle? I believe yes. Just because they become a more powerful asset because they learn fieldcraft. With a recon unit, yes, will also learn fieldcraft, but in order to teach them to the level of the sniper unit, you would still have a 56% washout rate because they would have to learn the same exact skills. And since marksman training is such a small part of sniper school, what does it matter? Rifles. Are the rifles and the technology that's surrounding the rifles most certainly up to par to where a novice shooter can pick one up with just basic marksmanship skills and be able to make those kind of shots? Yes. I mean, let's not deny the facts. They certainly are. But again, he's missing the fieldcraft. And not only that, it's like the whole backup site argument. Yeah, you don't need backup sites until you do. So why put them on the rifle? Because if you need them, then you really need them. So let's pretend we're fighting a near-peer threat, and they drop an EMP, and all this beautiful, glorious technology goes away, and you're back to measuring targets with your scope, calling it in mills, figuring out the windage. Yeah, somebody that's trained to be able to do that would be pretty nice because those rifles are useless without that technology backing them up. Now, if you go through sniper school, you learn like how to measure targets, how to figure out range, how to use a dope card, all of that stuff. And yes, that stuff is not necessary at all when you have like a Kestrel and a laser rangefinder, but what if you don't? Again, you don't need it until you do. Next one. Is it just a status symbol? Well, there's arguments to be had here, and yes, the few I've run into have treated it as such, which I don't get because like Navy SEALs, they're like, I wear the Trident doesn't wear me. I don't understand why the snipers don't have that same mentality, but whatever. Now, as far as the status symbol, doesn't really matter. No, not on the grand scheme of things. Is this something new to cancel sniper programs after a major conflict? Yes. Religiously, like after every single war, they cancel the sniper programs just because what they represent. Like people, they look at the average troop and they're like, well, they were being fired upon, they returned fire, and an enemy may or may not have died. Where they look at snipers is this guy went out there in camouflage, snuck up on another person who had no idea he even existed, and he shot that person. So because of the political pressures and what snipers represent, this is pretty normal. Now, if we get in another major conflict, like every other single time, we'll scramble together and try to piece together a program real quick. So hopefully they'll keep all the information and the programs and everything archived, so it's not like other wars where we have to start from scratch, basically. I mean, we don't, but basically. So, do I think this is a good thing? Absolutely not. I mean, if we have another conflict, it's immediately going to come back like it always does. So why not just keep it there? Keep the people training, keep it up to speed, keep the ranges and the schools and every other thing that has to do with it maintained and ready to go. So if we need it, we can pull the war lever and throw it into high gear and start pumping students through. Again, this history repeats itself every single time. Every single time we get out of a conflict, we shut down the sniper programs. And we get into a conflict and we're like, oh shit, these guys are a very powerful asset. Let's fire the program back up. But again, I'm not in a position to where I can make these type of decisions. So, it's just the way it plays out, and this is the way it's always played out. Anywho, appreciate you guys watching my video. I hope this inspired some thought behind all of this. If you'd like to help support the channel, the best way to do it is shop at OnlyTacticalFans.com. And remember, any purchase over $30, you get the mystery patch. And these new camo beanies look sick. Or you can use the affiliate links in the description down below. Just by clicking on those particular links, even if you don't purchase what the link is for, just clicking on it, doing the Amazon shopping you were already going to do anyway, another kickback for it because you came there off my channel. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.